doesn't matter where you come from. The pleasure of sitting down with friends and family and enjoying a good meal, that crosses all borders.
There is no good thing about living in Boston. It's a hellhole at the moment. The high immigration levels, the mix of different cultures and races, the segregation.
There's currently a myth going around that crime has gone through the roof in Boston the last few years that has coincided with an increase in migration into the town. That's what the myth is, and the conclusion from that is that it's the foreign national people that have come in that are committing the crime. That's simply not the case, and we've actually seen a reduction in crime.
I've been called a racist, I've been called a bigot, I've been told that I'm just singling out the foreigners, which isn't really the case because it's not actually a race issue, it's more to do with immigration. And the only people that I'm singling out are the government for not having the backbone to stand up to the EU.
Why do you think people want to protest against the new arrivals in Boston?
I don't know. I think people want to see the bad in things. I think there's a lot of myths surrounding kind of the migrant population.
I myself have foreign neighbours that I continually have problems with.
We get houses full of immigrants that aren't families.
There's more and more foreign nationals coming in, and there's loads of rubbish being dumped about.
People are uncomfortable walking the streets.
There is that element, I think, that some people perhaps don't want to believe anything other than a myth. And you could go along the lines of, you know, giving them all the data in the world, all the evidence in the world to suggest that the myth is inaccurate, and they'll still believe the myth. Some of it will be down to personal experience and, you know, that side of things. But you know, I think there are a small minority of people in this area who will always want to believe those myths, and it doesn't matter what you tell them, that they'll always believe that myth unless their own personal experience changes.
If I took a local person on for grading potatoes, it would be at grade 1, which is £6.21, I think. On top of that, I'd have 23% roughly overheads on top of that. From my gang labour, I can actually get a unit of labour on the same basis for £7.84, which is 20 pence more. But on top of the gang labour, I also have to pay VAT.
Stand up for the love, love, love. Stand up for the love, love, love. Stand up for the love, love, love. Stand up for the love, love. You're as old as you still you are, and if you don't reach for the moon, you can't follow the stars. So I live my life like every day is the last. 'Cause you're as old as you feel you are, and if you don't reach for the moon, you can't come. Asia lifeless is what, yes, you'll become, yeah. Stand up for the love, love, love. Stand up.
When it was getting to the period of time last year when we were looking at the protest that was going to be happening, we did have a reasonable amount of national media interest in Boston. And through contacts with the local press, I was made aware that there was some journalists from national press who were in the town looking for stories. And one of them was this national press reporter contacting one of the local papers and said, we've got details of the next court sitting at Boston, and there's very few foreign national names on the court list. And the response from the Boston paper was, well, that's reality. That's what's on. And the national paper guy had then said to the local journalist, can you let me know when you get a day where it is completely foreign national offenders, and I'll come up and report on it that day. The inference behind that is that wanting to, again, propagate a myth around the amount of crime being committed by foreign national people within the town of Boston. That's really disappointing.
Culture, art, joining everyone, I mean, like the picnics, things like that, just simple.
I remember from my school, my English teacher always said to me that England is a beautiful country, multicultural. How come if you don't like other cultures? Instead of spending the money, for example, on the protests, which they need to hold some in alarm, the police and other services which cost the money, why not focus to do the events like you're doing now? To get us together, show our culture. Why to spend the money on such silly things like, big protests? I would say so. Nobody done anything in this town to get us connected together. We obviously mix up all together here, Polish, Lithuanian, Latvian, English, Portuguese, Chinese, So why don't do something to show that our culture is rich and nice?
Digo, mama.
to ensure that as a community we move forward together, it has got to be the children that have got to lead that. And I'm a firm believer in the idea of tolerance and that cohesion element being strong within school children, within young people, that will then have effect on the rest of society. And the example that I referred to a bit earlier, 2 or 3 kids at school who are all from different backgrounds. Most of the time they don't care what backgrounds they're from, they're all learning the same things at school, they're all talking about the same stuff at school, talking about football or whatever, they get on as friends, they have a birthday party, and that's where the links start. Inviting your friends to your birthday party, parents come along to pick up the kids, perhaps have a coffee, have a chat, actually we're not that different. Those sorts of things are the things that are going to really make a difference. And the kids who are friends as 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds are going to be friends when they're 21, 22, are going to be friends when they're 30 and 40. And I think we'll see, as a natural progression almost, that in 20 years' time, from where we are now, that there'll probably be other issues that we can't foresee, but there won't be issues that are currently being talked about.
Learning to get on with one another is the most important thing, I think. Tolerating one another.
Places where you can go out and do golf and martial arts and football and cricket and that type of stuff.
Probably more events so people can come closer to know each other.
It starts at an early age. If the children get on, it will follow through.
You could take a traditional view and say that the only way you're going to solve crime and disorder is by being hard-nosed about it. There is a place for that, I've no doubt about it, and I've experienced that in the past, but we should be taking a broad approach to solving crime, disorder and community issues. You can't just solve this sort of issue or work with this issue just by having enforcement or just by providing a load more housing for people. It needs to be a broad spectrum of different interventions and different ways of doing it, because every individual is different and will react in different ways.